So I want to talk about The Sopranos. What's something that's very interesting to me about The Sopranos is the kind of, not supernatural, but almost like afterlife element that's in a lot of it. There's a big spiritual aura that kind of embodies all The Sopranos that I feel like a lot of people kind of they don't pick up on, or they like choose to ignore it. But From Where to Eternity, which is kind of the episode that in my shorter breakdown I focus on a lot, they do talk a lot about the afterlife and spirituality, and they pretty much confirm that, like, yes, in the universe of The Sopranos there is an afterlife. It's not necessarily like the Christian afterlife, but there is some afterlife, and that mistakes from your past and people who you have done wrong who in your past who are no longer here can hurt you, can affect you now, and there is a final resting place for everybody.
Well, I like how they do it because they don't come out and it's not like overtly religious or anything.
No.
The episode that Greg's referring to, Christopher is recovering in the hospital after being shot by Bevilacqua and whoever the fuck the other crony's name is.
Yes.
And they're not sure if he's going to make it or not. And it's looking kind of like he's not going to make it for a little while. Adriana's really losing her shit. What an amazing actor she is, by the way.
She's great.
Drea De Matteo. She's unbelievable.
She's great.
Especially in this episode.
She's amazing as Adriana. There are other shows I've seen her in that I wasn't a fan of. She was in the Joey, the Friends spin-off.
I remember that. I remember that when that actually happened. That was like one of the all-time horrible spin-offs.
One of the all-time horrible moments.
But in this episode, I love the way that they do it because basically, as I mentioned, Christopher's recovering from gunshot wounds. He ends up turning the corner, and he's basically going to make it. And when he comes to, he lets Tony know and he lets Paulie know that he had essentially, one of those, saw the light moments or whatever you want to say, where, he had a near-death experience and he saw some of his family who has passed on and some people who they have basically killed, because the Michael Palmisi hit Christopher and Paulie.
It's Christopher and Paulie, and
right.
That comes up later because after he tells Tony and Paulie, like, I was in hell, there's a spot there waiting for me, you got a reservation there, you got a reservation there, that's where we go when we die. And I like how, like, there's a kind of a mobster specific hell that he says it's our hell is the Emerald Piper. It's an Irish bar where it's every day is St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, which does kind of sound like hell, even though we're Irish, so.
Well, yes.
But I if you've worked in a bar on St. Patrick's Day, depending on my mood, it's either a great time or it could be hell. But anyway, I like how they do this though because it's not clear whether Christopher really had this vision or not. Like
no,
they don't hit you over the head with like. I feel like in a lesser, and I don't know who directed this episode. I think Imperioli wrote that episode.
And Michael Imperioli wrote it.
But in a lesser director's hands, they could have played really, like, corny.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I like the way that they do it because it's like, did he see the vid? Because it makes sense. Like, sure, they're they're terrible people, and they're, if hell exists, we kind of differ, like, religiously. I'm not a believer, and I think you are. I know you used to be, at least, but whether that's important or not, my point is you kind of don't know what's going on.
Right.
So, I like that.
Well, the point that I was trying to make was that whatever your religious beliefs are, in the world of The Sopranos, there definitely is some type of afterlife.
See, I didn't get that. I got it
when in that same episode when Paulie Walnuts, he like goes to the seance, and this guy is basically, he's able to like tell all of Paulie's like former murders.
Which is interesting because generally those people would be characterized as like a crock, you know what I mean? But like, how would he have that information?
Exactly.
We're never really told why he has that information.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that he was there. I'd like to think, because it's interesting, because yes, normally that character would be portrayed as like a total scam artist. Yes. I always felt like in The Sopranos, it's the seance characters who are the real deal, and then it's kind of the religious, like Catholic priest characters who are viewed as these are the guys who are running the scam, like
which they are.
Carmela's friend, who's the priest,
that guy
is clearly like
such a piece of shit.
He's just
great character though on the show.
He's trying to use this kind of religious authority to really just like turn on housewives and like, you know, try to bang housewives.
That's such a weird scam.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that like normally or in a show, it's the religion with the authority that would be viewed as like being legit, and it would be the seance like people who would be viewed as the scammers. But in this one, they're kind of hinting at like, no, this guy's the real deal. I mean, he knew that when Paulie killed Michael Palmisi that he got
poison ivy.
Yeah,
that's a piece, because I was gonna say like, all right, yeah, but you know as well as anybody that what happens in a movie and what happens in a film is not necessarily everything that's told to you. No, there could have been someone who, like, I forget how he even got hooked up with that seance guy or the therapist, but there could have been someone who'd been like, hey, by the way,
it was his girlfriend.
So she wouldn't have known any of that shit either. Yeah. So
he was like, and I made the appointment under a fake name. You know, I called from a payphone, so like, there's no way he could have tracked it.
So that's pretty interesting.
And then there's a scene later on where like, Paulie is at the Bada Bing, and it's like early in the day and no one's there, and he just like sees the Virgin Mary up on like the dance floor. And
I missed that because, and I was watching the whole episode. I must have zoned out or something.
It's not in that episode. It's on it's in the later season.
Okay, never mind.
But
because he talks about it
he talks about it in the final episode.
Okay,
he's like, I never told you this tape, but I saw the Virgin Mary.
You just gave him the weirdest accent ever, but that's cool.
He's Paulie Walnuts. He can have a weird accent.